Reasons why you should update your will. This is something I get asked quite frequently. So you've got a will. That's great. You've taken the first step providing for your financial future and for the future of your heirs. But when's the last time you looked at your will and maybe even updated your will? Chances are it's been quite a while. Today we're going to talk about a few reasons why you would maybe consider reviewing and updating your will. The first is marriage. Have you recently gotten married? This is a good chance for you to review your will and to make sure to include your spouse as your beneficiary. It's also a chance for you and your spouse to sit down and do estate planning together. Maybe you're in a second marriage and you have children from a previous relationship. You're going to want to make sure that you account for your assets being allocated to your children as well as your new spouse, and maybe even stepchildren if those are involved. In Texas, which is a community property state, you need to keep in mind that half of your community property assets automatically go to your spouse upon your death. If you have separate property, you need to make sure that the separate property is accounted for accordingly in your will. Another thing to note is if you're an unmarried couple that want to leave assets to each other, you need to do this through a will. Maybe one of your children has recently gotten married. This is a good chance for you to review and update your will to make sure the new marriage is accounted for in your will. And it's also a chance for you to encourage your child to write a will or update their current will with their new spouse. Divorce. In Texas, as in most states, a divorce automatically revokes your will. So you're going to have to rewrite one anyway. When you're rewriting your will, make sure you take a look at who your beneficiaries are. You want to make sure that you update your beneficiary information on things such as life insurance policies, retirement plans, and anything that may have your ex-spouse listed as a beneficiary. Chances are you don't want to leave any of your assets to your ex-spouse. Births. You've recently had a child. Because you don't have a minor child, you're going to want to make sure you name a guardian for your child in your will. You're also going to want to make sure that you leave financial resources for your child. This may be acquiring new life insurance policies and or setting up trusts for the benefit of your children. Another thing to note is that when naming your guardian, you can name a separate person to handle the financial requirements of your child. The guardian does not have to handle both guardianship of your children and finances. This has been a good key point for parents that can't decide on who the guardian of their child should be because of the financial responsibility. Now they can choose to have one person be the guardian and a separate person handle the finances for their child. Maybe your assets have changed. Maybe you've recently retired and your financial situation's changed. Or maybe you've recently closed a big business deal or sold your business and you have an influx of money. You'll want to update and review your will to make sure that your new assets are accounted for. Maybe you have property that you've sold that was specifically bequested in your will. You'll want to review your will to make sure that property is removed and the bequests are changed. Death. Maybe you've recently experienced a death within your close family. This is the time when you may want to review and update your will to make sure all your beneficiaries are current. And lastly, tax law change. I know this sounds obvious, but many people don't think about it. Anytime there's a tax law change, you need to review and update your will to make sure you're taking advantage of the new tax laws and changes. As you heard, it's very important to update your will anytime you have any major life-changing events. Even if you don't have any life-changing events, you still want to update your will at least every 5 years. You want to review to make sure your beneficiaries are current and that your assets are being distributed as you wish.